La entrevista de CBStudio Radio.
Hemos tenido en CBStudio Radio al doctor Semir Osmanagić, una de las principales personalidades del grupo de doctores, arqueólogos, científicos, geólogos e historiadores en el mundo, que enseña y fundamenta con pruebas y estudios científicos y arqueológicos una versión diferente a la oficial reinante en academias, universidades y medios de comunicación. El doctor Osmanagić es acusado por el oficialismo de ser un pseudoarqueólogo. En CBStudio Radio creemos en el debate, en la conversación, en escuchar las voces que no hacen daño, sino que probablemente enriquecen la rama de la ciencia o de la historia o de la arqueología a la que representan. La entrevista fue hecha en inglés. Tiene usted los subtítulos a su disposición. Han sido revisados. Es una buena traducción. Hemos querido que sea su voz original la que suene y no doblada para mantener el rigor de la entrevista. Si desea escuchar íntegramente la entrevista en español, puede activar en las opciones de YouTube la voz doblada en español. Esto nos dijo cuando le preguntamos en bosnio "kako si", es decir, ¿cómo estaba? ¿Cómo se encontraba?
Yes, exactly. Well, first of all, thank you very much, and I wish you success to your radio. I'm doing really fine. The matter of fact, I am the happiest man alive. You know, when you are fulfilled, when you have a balance between physical and spiritual, when you run not the project, but your life's mission, then yes, you are happy.
¿Cuántas pirámides hay en el mundo? Para el doctor Osmanagić hay muchas más de lo que parece.
You see, we have been programmed to think that pyramids were built in Egypt and Mexico. In Egypt, built by thousands of slaves, by the pharaohs, as tombs. And this is all wrong. I've been researching pyramids for the last 4 decades, and I realized that the world of the past was the world of pyramids. My PhD is about the Mayan pyramids in the countries of Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, and Belize. And I realized that 97% of those pyramids were actually covered by soil and vegetation.
El doctor Osmanagić encontró una de esas montañas extrañas, llenas de vegetación. Él mismo nos explica qué ocurrió.
20 years ago, I first came to the little Bosnian town of Visoko to visit the local museum. But what really caught my attention was this, everybody called it natural hill because it was covered by forest. But I was looking at the geometry. I could see 4 sides, 4 triangular faces, 4 corners. Compass showed me that those sides perfectly matched the cardinal points, east, west, north, and south.
Yes.
So back in 2005, I started doing some preliminary research. I got the permission from the Ministry of Culture, and everything I did, archaeological trenches, geological core drilling, lab analysis, were anomalies. I wrote the book, published it, had a big press conference in the capital city of Sarajevo, and announced the news to the world that the first European pyramids have been discovered. After that, I established non-profit, non-government foundation for the archaeological and scientific research. And in the last 2 decades, it has become the most active archaeological site in the world. And this is what we have discovered. 6 pyramids, which we named the Bosnian pyramids of the sun, moon, dragon, earth, love, and the 6th pyramid. 2 tumuli. Tumulus in archaeology is an artificially made conical hill. We discovered 2 of them. And 7 entrances to the prehistorical tunnels. So far, we have cleared and made available for the visitation 3.6 kilometers of those prehistorical tunnels. So, archaeologically speaking, this is huge. We operate in the area of 50 square kilometers. The Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, with its height of 368 meters, is much taller than the Great Pyramid of Egypt, which is 146 meters. 3 major pyramids in Bosnia, Sun, Moon, Dragon, when we connect their tops, they make a perfect equilateral triangle with a distance between the tops of 2,180 meters. Orientation to the north. I realized investigating pyramids in China, Indonesia, Cambodia, Mauritius, Nubian pyramids in Sudan, Egypt, Canary, Peru, and so on, that the pyramids are oriented to the cardinal points. Well, the most precise orientation in the world is the northern side of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun. The error from the perfect north, 0 degrees, 0 minutes, and 12 seconds. It's a genius. When we started excavation, removing the soil approximately 1 meter below the soil and vegetation, we started discovering blocks, regular blocks.
Yes.
Rectangular, square blocks, one next to each other, one on top of each other. We have analyzed those blocks. We sent samples to 7 institutes for materials in Italy, Politecnico di Torino, Geopolymer Institute in France, Czech, Slovakia, Bosnia. Everybody told us that it was an artificially made concrete. Better quality than what we can make today. So it was element after element that we have a huge artificially made complex. So to answer your question, what is this in Bosnia? It's a huge pyramid complex with the largest, tallest pyramids above the ground and the most extensive underground tunnel network below the ground. It's 6 pyramids, 7 entrances to underground tunnels, 2 tumuli, but most probably in original times there were more pyramids and more structures and more tumuli. And this underground tunnel network, even though we have cleared 3.6 kilometers, which is sensational, I believe that originally it was probably 100 kilometers and 7 different levels. So far we have discovered entrances to 2 levels of tunnels.
Le preguntamos al Dr. Osmanagić sobre la afirmación del oficialismo académico de Universidad y Wikipedia, según el cual la pirámide más antigua de la historia humana es la pirámide de Zoser, en Egipto. Su respuesta no le dejará a usted indiferente.
When it comes to the pyramids, almost everything they teach us about them is wrong. They say Egyptian pyramids were built by pharaohs 4,500 years back. Wrong. We don't have a single proof who really built the Great Pyramid of Egypt, or the second biggest, Khafre, or the third biggest, the Red Pyramid, or the fourth biggest, Mykerinos, or the fifth biggest, Bent Pyramid in Dahshur, or pyramids in Saqqara, or pyramids in Abu Sir. We don't have proofs. When you enter the pyramids in Egypt, no mummies, no royal furniture, no hieroglyphic writings, no symbols carved in the walls, no tools, no organic materials, not a single proof. So the time will show that the claims by Egyptologists, which was initiated by elites from the UK, supported by Hollywood movies, is actually the biggest hoax in human history. When it comes to the age, this is what we know so far. Gunung Padang Pyramid in West Java, discovered by our friend Dr. Danny Hillman, is 27,000 years old. The pyramids in the central Chinese province of Shanxi, 20 biggest one, is 12,800. Those that came later, built by mud bricks, 2,300 until 1,000 before present. Egyptian pyramids, 28 biggest one, made from granite and limestone, I believe more than 30,000 years. Teotihuacan, Mexico, not 2,300, more than 12,000 years old. Bosnian pyramids, we have done 28 radiocarbon dating, 12 luminescence analysis, and 7 uranium-thorium analysis, and the age 33,800 years. What do they teach us in schools? Human history, only 5 to 6,000 years old. Mesopotamia, Sumerian, Babylon, Akkad, Assyria, Hittite, ancient Egypt, China, India. Wrong. This is just the last cycle of humanity. Before this one, there was another one and another one. And you know, they teach us in schools that our history is linear. Before, we were primitive cavemen 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 years back. And today, we are the most intelligent, the most advanced, and the most beautiful. Well, yes. We are not. The history of humanity is a cycle after cycle after cycle. Before this one, which started 12,000 years back, after the huge biblical floods, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, there was another one. And another one, 18,500 years ago, big catastrophe, 34,000, 55,000, 74,000. So in the last 100,000 years, we have had 5 cataclysmic events that interrupted the development of humanity. 99% of humans were wiped off from the face of the planet, and then we had to start from the beginning.
Por supuesto, el mundo académico tampoco queda indiferente con las afirmaciones del Dr. Osmanagić, y con ensañamiento no ahorra en acusaciones y ataques personales contra él. El Dr. Osmanagić representa una amenaza para el concepto aceptado generalmente. ¿Qué ha hecho el Dr. Osmanagić para refutar las acusaciones?
Back in 2005-2006, when we announced that we were going to start digging, the local archaeologists, geologists, historians, museums, they were all against us. They said it's impossible. We never had pharaohs in Bosnia, therefore we cannot have pyramids. Yes. Actually, we started digging, we started finding those artificially made concrete blocks and many other arguments. And then the Bosnian archaeologists asked help from European Archaeological Association. So they issued a statement that this is a huge hoax on unprepared public. And then since we were continuing working, we kept working, they were asking help from American archaeologists, from Egyptologists, people like Zahi Hawass. And those guys, even though they never came to Bosnia, they never did a single testing or dating or measurements. They were issuing statement after statement. There are no pyramids in Bosnia. That's a big hoax. This guy, Sam Osmanagić, they never say that I'm PhD. They say he's pseudo-archaeologists, pseudo-historians. Well, yes. Guess what? These are their opinions. Opinions are irrelevant in science. The only thing that counts is the scientific argument. Well, in the last 2 decades, after those statements from 2006, 2007, we don't have those guys no more because they never had a single argument. And what we've been doing, we've been following scientific methodology. And this is how it goes. First, back in 2005, 2006, I've issued hypothesis. We have artificially made pyramid complex. Then we've established a body, foundation registered for archaeology and science. We started with archaeological digging. We started with a multidisciplinary scientific project. We've been actually using classical sciences like archaeology, Egyptology, geology, paleontology, biology, plus high-tech, georadar, LIDAR, satellite, geothermal, plus experts in energy phenomena, nuclear and quantum physicists, electrical engineers, sound engineers, telecommunication engineers, medical doctors. So people with the instruments who can measure. If you can measure, you can scientifically prove. That was the second step. The third step was get an independent researchers to confirm what you've discovered. And they've been coming. For example, we've had 5 international teams of physicists and engineers who came at 5 different times from Croatia, Serbia, Italy, Finland, and Germany, who've been measuring using instruments like oscilloscopes, spectrometers, EMF, and the others, climbing the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, measuring existence of energy going through the top. 4.5-meter radius, 28 kilohertz frequency, expands to 20 meters, 4.5, 24.5. In science, it is called the scalar waves, ideal for the communication. So, bringing those independent themes. Step number 4 was organizing international scientific conferences. We have had 8 of them, 110 experts from 28 countries confirming existence of the Bosnian pyramids, and the last, final step is publishing peer-reviewed scientific articles in international scientific journals. So far, we have 47 such published peer-reviewed articles about the Bosnian pyramids, about energy aspect, about healing aspect, about dating, and so on and so forth. So everything we do it as per book, following the scientific methodology. Those who are attacking us, they're trying to disqualify us, saying, oh, they are no experts.
Yes.
They don't know what they're doing. Well, guess what? They have not published a single scientific peer-reviewed articles in the journals, and we've done 47. So where is the truth? Few decades from now, those people who are trying to, make obstacles for the projects, nobody will remember them, but they will be aware of this huge discovery. Since I've been researching pyramids for so long, probably there is not a living soul on the planet who has investigated more pyramids than myself.
Yes.
I realized that elites want us to think that pyramids were built for one dead body, pharaohs or kings, so they belong to the past. Wrong. Doing all these scientific measurements, we have proven that pyramids actually amplify existing natural energy sources. Therefore, it's very important where you're going to position them. For example, the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun is positioned above iron plate, iron ore. Iron generates electromagnetic field. Pyramid pulls this field up, amplifying it. How do we know? Because we have measured at the base and at the top. At the top, the signal is 50 times stronger. So pyramid is energy amplifier. Next, under the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, we have underground water flow. Water moves, it releases beneficial negative ions. The pyramid amplifies the concentration of negative ions. How do we know? Because we measure using air ion counter. In the tunnels, the concentration of those beneficial negative ions is the highest on the planet. Number 3, energy source. During the excavation, removing the soil, we've discovered a lot of quartz crystal on the pyramid walls and in the tunnels. The quartz crystal has the ability to, 1, amplify the energy, 2, transform the energy. In our case, from the electromagnetic field, which we measure, through the piezoelectrical process to the ultrasound, which we also measure. We measure the frequency of 28 kilohertz ultrasound. In science, it is known as the levitation frequency. So, as you can see, the ancient builders knew how to manipulate with different energy forms. And this energy, in return, can be used for the living communities. I mentioned the first potential purpose. Through the scalar waves, you can send energy, you can send information, and those scalar waves, they move quicker than the speed of light. The first scientist who was investigating them was the genius, Nikola Tesla, 120 years ago. Now, the second purpose of the pyramid energy, you go to the tunnels under the Bosnian Valley of the Pyramids. You can breathe. Excellent. The matter of fact, deeper you go, you breathe better and better. It's not very logical. You would expect with only one entrance, deeper you go, that the air will become heavy, more CO2. Nothing like that. People with the respiratory problems, for example, with asthma, bronchitis, when they go to the tunnels a few days in a row, they breathe so well, they don't need inhaler, the air pump no more. People with a high blood pressure, it gets normalized. People with the high glucose in the blood, it comes to the normal levels. People with the pains, they are gone. People with the very serious diseases, tumors, cancers, we can see in 10-15 days, as I spend in the tunnels, 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the afternoon, we can see excellent improvement of the health. And even though we always say we are not in the healing business, we don't give the medical guarantees. What we do, we measure. And this is what we have measured, real quick. 10 energy properties. The first 5 is the absence of all harmful radiations. Right now, you and I and the listeners, we live on the surface of the planet, but we are exposed to the cosmic radiations. Some of them are harmful. They attack our body, and our body cells, they fight those enemies. And guess what? In the tunnels, 20 meters below the ground, no harmful cosmic radiations, no underground natural radioactivity. How do we know? Because we measure using Guy-Miller counters. No geopathogenic radiations, no signal for the mobile phones, 4G, 5G, no signal for the Wi-Fi. So you enter the tunnel for the first time in your life. Your body does not have enemies. Your body cells can start doing their job. What is their job? To fix the problems in our body, to start the regeneration process. Somebody has blood pressure, somebody has sugar, somebody has mental problems. Regeneration is happening. When you add 5 more energy properties, which are all measurable, the best frequency of electromagnetic field, 28 kilohertz, the best frequency of the ultrasound, levitation frequency, very low frequency of 7.83 hertz. In science, it is called the original Schumann resonance, brings us back to the balance. Number 9, the highest level of orgone or life energy, there is an instrument for that. And number 10, the highest concentration of negative ions. We have the safest and the healthiest place on the planet. So, our second conclusion about the purpose of pyramid energy, pyramids were used to protect what is the most precious to us, and that would be our health. Number 3, if you allow me, we discovered 5 tunnels with the water, and this water has been exposed to the pyramid energy, which I just mentioned, for thousands of years. Conventional analysis show no viruses, no bacteria, no fungi. pH is excellent, 7.45. That's the pH of our blood. When we sent samples to the late Dr. Masaru Emoto in Japan, we noticed that the molecular structure of our pyramid water is hexagonal. That's a perfect geometrical shape. This water also shows most wonderful crystal-like structure. This is energetically alive water. What we drink, the city water or bottled water, of course, there is no microbes because it's been treated with the chlorine, and chlorine is a poison. All our life, we drink poison. Some countries add fluoride, poison. In our city water, traces of heavy metals, it goes through metal pipes, melting them. It goes through plastic pipes in our kitchens. We drink microplastic, which has become the leading cause of the cancer. So the city water, energetically dead. Pyramid water, energetically alive. It vibrates high, and we are what we drink. So the third conclusion about the pyramid energy, to improve the molecular structure of the most important liquid in our life. Number 4, we are what we eat. We did experiment with the seeds of beans. 1 bag with the seeds we placed in the tunnel, 1 bag on the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, 1 bag we kept home as the control group. After 15 days, we planted them in our beautiful park. The pyramid seeds were growing 3 times quicker, richer, healthier. So pyramid energy affects our DNA. Number 5, during the Corona project, they were telling us the vaccine is solution for everything. However, being vaccinated or not vaccinated, people were getting corona, they were getting viruses, they were getting sick, and then they were spreading diseases, they went to hospital, they were, dying. The question is, when the disease comes to you, not the vaccine, but immunity. Your immune system. You go to the tunnels, your immunity goes up. Number 5. Number 6, we've noticed that the pyramid energy affects our spiritual senses. We can start feeling the energy in the tunnels, even seeing the energies, even seeing the colors of the energy. So we can start discovering this new world, which is beyond our physical reality. So now you see how it's becoming very logical. Instead of those huge complexes in Egypt, China, Peru, Mexico, Bosnia being tombs for one dead body, they don't belong to the past. That's wrong. They are the mirror of present and the future. The usage of the pyramid energy, the living communities. So we are bringing the revolutionary change in the narrative about the pyramids. And that's another reason why so many archaeologists, geologists, historians do not like us. Their PhDs, not good anymore. Professorships, the way they teach their kids, wrong. And the easiest way for them, through Wikipedia, National Geographic, Encyclopedia Britannica, Smithsonian, Times Magazine, is to attack us. But guess what? The truth is resurfacing again.
Es sin duda admirable que como arqueólogo y científico el Dr. Osmanagić tenga como fin último llegar a saber la verdad histórica de lo que él y muchas personas consideran pirámides en Bosnia. ¿Qué es lo que encontró el Dr. Osmanagić y sus colaboradores para que estuvieran tan convencidos, sin ningún género de duda, que se tratan de auténticas pirámides?
Yes, I came for the first time. I'm looking at this hill. Of course, everybody call it natural hill because it is covered by forest. However, my experience with the pyramids in Mexico, Guatemala, China, Indonesia, Cambodia, Honduras, El Salvador, I've seen so many pyramids covered by forest.
Yes.
So I was looking at the geometry. Once you see 4 sides and triangular faces and compass show that it's a perfect orientation, that was for me 100% sure that they were an artificial structure that got covered by soil after thousands of years. Of course, Egypt is to the south. It's a desert. The climate is different. No rain, no greenery. Peru, the same thing. However, China, Indonesia, Bosnia, Mexico, Guatemala, we got rain all the time. We got greenery. We got the wind. The wind brings soil and the dust and the seeds, and the rain makes all this greenery flourish. So that was not news for me. However, like I said, people have been programmed. They want to see blocks. They want to see them uncovered. Well, we started uncovering them. And talking about the proofs, let me tell you one more thing. In the last 1 year, we got 3 huge discoveries. The first one is referring to the layout of the Bosnian pyramids. I did mention equilateral triangle, sun, moon, and dragon. However, we have more linear geometry, straight lines, for example. Top of the moon, top of the temple of Mother Earth, top of dragon, perfectly straight line, 3 tops. And then top of temple of Mother Earth, top of the love, top of the sun, entrance to the tunnels, perfectly straight line. This is linear geometry. And we have something called spiral geometry. The most important spiral and the most important of sacred geometry is called Fibonacci spiral or golden section spiral. This is mathematically very precise spiral. We can see it everywhere in the macro world, in architecture. In the micro world, we can see it, for example, the seashells. We can see the spiral there. The sunflowers, we can see the spiral. Our DNA, the spiral. We can see it in tropical storms. You start with the eye of the storm, you can see the spiral, all the way to the spiral galaxies. My conclusion, it seems that the universal mind, a creator, was using movement of the energy following the Fibonacci spiral, creating all the life, not only on this planet, but in the universe. And when we took the map of the Bosnian Valley of the Pyramid, We studied the spiral from the top of the love pyramid. And then the spiral intersects with the top of the sun, top of Temple of Mother Earth, top of the dragon, top of the tumulus. And so far we have discovered several such spirals, which tells me that the ancient builders were very careful how they're going to lay out, how they're going to position those monuments. And they were following this, cosmic harmony, which was established by the Creator. So they were showing us that they knew the knowledge of the cosmic balance, cosmic harmony, cosmic dance, if you will. This was the first discovery. The second discovery, the shadows. You know how on certain archaeological sites, the ancients were always following the movement of the sun or the moon during the most important dates, like summer solstice or winter solstice or spring or fall equinox. For example, the Kukulkan Pyramid in Chichen Itza, Yucatan, the Mayan civilization. 2 dates, spring equinox, the March 21st, and the fall equinox, September 23rd. When you look at the play of the shadow and the light on a side of the pyramid where the stairways is, you can see like a body of the snake or body of the serpent coming down the pyramid, and then you have a serpent head, at the base of the pyramid. Oh, Stonehenge in the UK. People were saying that during the summer solstice sunrise, you can see one line from those megalithic blocks, but not only summer, but also winter solstice, 2 dates. Anasazics in the southern US, in New Mexico, Utah, Colorado, Arizona, they were making those petroglyphs, for example, circles or spirals. They would have 2 stones, and during the summer solstice, you could see the light going exactly through the middle of the spiral. Incas and so on. So we are aware that the ancients were watching those important dates. But usually you have 1 or 2 dates, which is marked in those sites. In the case of Bosnia, we have something more profound. When you climb the top of the Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, a shadow of the Sun Pyramid, which is triangular, it's a pyramid. During the most important week, summer solstice, June 21st, the shadow form a pyramid next to the moon pyramid, and the top of the shadow exactly the same height like the top of the moon pyramid, and the shadow touches the foundation of the moon pyramid. That's June 21st. Midsummer, 45 days from June 21st, which is August 6th, August 7th, the shadow of the Sun Pyramid completely covers the moon pyramid. Top of the shadow touches the top of the moon pyramid. So in a symbolical way, the message from the ancient builders is the rule of the day and the sun is over. The rule of the night and the moon starts. It's a genius. The third date, September 23rd, beginning of the fall equinox. We have the Sun Pyramid shadow coming to the moon pyramid, this time from the left side, from the northern side. Why north? Because it is announcing that the colder fall and winter days are coming. The top of the shadow, same height like the top of the moon pyramid. And now the next pyramid, the love pyramid, its shadow completely covers the moon pyramid during the fall and the spring equinox. And during the winter solstice, tops of the shadows, sun and the love, from 2 sides of the moon pyramid, exactly the same height. So, the conclusion, they had a solar multi-seasonal calendar. So basically, you had calendar in stones, calendar in the monuments for 365 days a year. There is nothing like that anywhere in the world, and I've seen all those sites. That was discovery number 2. Discovery number 3. Doing my PhD in the Central America, I realized that the Mayan civilization had a huge respect for the Pleiades star system. The Pleiades is the name from the Greek mythology, seven sisters. And indeed, from October until March, in the northern hemisphere, we can see those seven stars, very distinctive star cluster. And December, January, we can see two more, Atlas Pleione, they call them father and mother. Now, about the Pleiades, Aztecs, every 52 years they had the biggest ceremonies. Why 52 years? That's a period needed for the Pleiades to go from the most southern to the most northern point on the night sky and coming back, 52 years. Navajo Indians, Hopi Indians, Pueblo Indians, Anasazis, Maori of New Zealand, original people of Australia, China, Japan, Africa, Europe, everybody's having Pleiades in their oral traditions. But oral, not scientific connection. So last summer, I took the star map of the Pleiades and I was thinking, okay, let me try to find scientific connection between the Bosnian pyramids and the most important, star system. So first, I could see that there are several straight lines connecting at least three stars, and we have that in Bosnia. But this is straight line. How many straight lines on the night sky? Probably many. And then in Bosnia, we have the triangle. Pleiades, we have two triangles, almost ideal. But then how many triangles connecting three stars on the night sky? Probably many. If I could find something more precise, more significant, something like Fibonacci spiral, that would be very significant. And guess what? Starting from the middle star Maya. There was a Fibonacci spiral, colon section spiral, with the four stars intersecting with the spiral. I took the Bosnian pyramid map, laying over it, spirals match. Total of 3 spirals match from terrestrial to celestial aspect. I've checked the internet. Nobody was writing about the Fibonacci spirals within the Pleiades star system. It was new discovery. I published 1 article. In the meantime, I published 4 more, proving geometrically, statistically, mathematically, astronomically, and archaeologically about this connection, which I named the Pleiades Code, the Pleiades Code. And this is our website, thepleiadescode.com, in which I'm showing that the ancient builders were having different concepts than our civilization. Now, you and I, what we are looking in our civilization, we are looking at election cycluses in America, in Germany, in UK, who's going to win, who's going to form the government, what kind of politics. It's election cycle, 4 years or even 2 years. That's nothing. The ancients were looking, when they were building stuff, they were looking for thousands of years, millennia. They were incorporating sacred geometry, Fibonacci spirals, astronomy, architecture, archaeology. They were incorporating healing, spiritual aspect, consciousness. They were so much more ahead of us. So much to learn from them.
¿Hubo una civilización de tecnología más avanzada incluso que la nuestra, hoy perdida y desconocida? ¿Fue parte de esa civilización la que construyó la mayoría de las pirámides que existen en la actualidad? Graham Hancock, Randall Carlson, al igual que el Dr. Osmanagić, opinan que existen pruebas hoy que apoyan esa tesis. Le preguntamos al Dr. Osmanagić qué les diría a los opositores a sus postulados como Anthony Harding, Herman Portzinger o Zahi Hawass si tuviese la oportunidad. Esto nos contestó.
These are people who, back in 2006, were issuing the statements, there is nothing in Bosnia, Osmanagić is running the biggest hoax, and so on and so forth. Well, it's been 2 decades. We have so much scientific arguments. They have none. So I would say that their statements without any field work, without any checking, without any measurements, without any lab analysis, without any test sampling, is showing me that they are actually the pseudo-archaeologists, the pseudo-scientists. They are just politicians in the world of science. And we speak through the scientific arguments. We have our conferences, we have our articles. Let them read that. I don't need even to talk to them. Let them read that and let them now give their opinions. Well, exactly. We don't hear from them. Well, I would say our work is the answer, and we are pioneers. It's not an easy thing to be a pioneer. And I remember from the beginning, when everybody is attacking you, the cultural establishment of your own country, the Ministry of Culture, archaeologists from Europe, from UK, from France, from Poland, from Germany, from US, geologists, anthropologists, the most influential Egyptologists, 99% of normal people would give up.
Yes.
However, do you give up your scientific arguments when you know that you are right? Do you give up your dreams? We have never given up.
En este punto de la entrevista, quisimos preguntarle sobre algo sumamente interesante: los descubrimientos que los científicos y profesores Corrado Malanga y Filippo Biondi hicieron de lo que parecen ser unas estructuras gigantescas en la base de la pirámide de Guizah. Escuchen la respuesta del Dr. Osmanagić.
I know Filippo Corrado, and the third guy is Armando May. I wrote the book with Armando May 20 years back. I have analyzed their findings. Of course, we are in contact. They actually even did some SAR tomography scanning in the case of Bosnian pyramids, and they're going to continue. Next year, I expect them on our conference, and I can even tell you briefly what they discovered. They discovered 2 more pyramids. They discovered tunnels between the Love and the Sun pyramid. I know that they are good experts. Filippo and Corrado, they scanned the Bosnian pyramids.
Yes.
A year ago, they're going to be back next year. So I know them personally.
Yes.
Now, as far as the Egyptian discovery, this is very important parallel. They got not 1, but they got 5 discoveries. Very briefly. First, they claim that in the Great Pyramid of Egypt, which is often mentioned as the Khufu or Cheops pyramid, there are not 3, but 5 chambers, which I agree. In Khafre, not 2, but 5 chambers, which I agree. Below the Giza pyramids, not only below the Khafre, but Khafre mostly, there is like 8 columns in 2 parallel rows.
Yes.
565 meters running below the ground. Number 4, those columns, they connect to the huge chambers, 80 by 80 meters, 2 of them. And even below that, 2.3 kilometers, there are also, they mentioned underground cities. That I'm not 100% convinced. I would need to see more proof, but what I saw, it's very interesting. They can be maybe even, very deep underground cavities. If this was an underground city, then it would be really the biggest discovery in Africa of all times. So I know them. They've done a very good work. And you mentioned Zahi Hawass. He said, it's impossible. They did not have my permission. I mean, who are you, the gatekeeper, who don't want the knowledge to come to the surface? And by the way, they were using the public satellites from European satellite program, Copernicus, which is basically for free. Anybody can use that. However, they did apply new software that can access information much clearer than before. So they are excellent experts, and I'm looking forward to see them in Bosnia. And what I can say is, if you have those structures below Egyptian pyramids, the claim that they were used for one dead body does not make any sense. What we have in Egypt, like in Bosnia, Mexico, and other countries, we have an ancient technology.
Evidentemente quisimos saber, en la opinión del Dr. Osmanagić, el porqué de la razón que las autoridades egipcias no quieren indagar más en lo que sería el descubrimiento del siglo. Escucha atentamente a lo que nos contestó.
You know, a few years back, I was using technology to scan energy phenomena. The first instruments were called PIP camera, now they are called NEV, New Energy Vision Camera. That camera shows energy fields, photonic fields, and in the case of all environments, cities, villages, valleys, seas, mountains, energy fields are always horizontal. However, the Bosnian pyramids, those energy fields are vertical. Why? In the pyramids, energy is getting accumulating, going through the top of the pyramid, hitting those horizontal fields, they become vertical. So we realized that Bosnian pyramids are energetically active. I took this technology to Egypt when I was taking my groups every December, and then I was scanning, for example, Khafre or Khafre's pyramid, the second largest.
Yes.
And left and the right, horizontal fields. The moment they come to the pyramid, vertical. So for me, it was another proof that this particular pyramid was energetically active. I was very, enthusiastic. I wrote the report. I sent it to my colleagues in Egypt, archaeologists, Egyptologists at the University of Cairo, University of Ain Shams in Cairo, University of Alexandria. These are all places I was doing my lectures 20 years back. And I got the answer from them. They said, we don't care about the energy. Those pyramids are tombs for the pharaohs, and that's it. So you can see that they are not ready for new knowledge, new information. The science is out there to bring us the new knowledge, not to protect the positions of deans of archaeological faculties or professorships and so on and so forth. So when you ask why, they have their ideas. Those pyramids, 4,500 years, built by pharaohs. This is our civilization, and so we have direct link to them. Wrong. The biggest Egyptian pyramids, more than 30,000 years. There is a very important artifact called Turin King List, which is in Turin, Torino, Italy.
Yes.
Papyrus, which is 175 centimeters, 45 centimeters wide, with 11 columns, with all Egyptian rulers, 3 phases. The first phase, era of gods. Each ruler would rule Egypt 1,000 years. The second era, mythical gods and, demigods, 200-300 years rule. The third phase, the era of the pharaohs, or as they call themselves, sons of gods, started from 5,000 years back. These are the pharaohs as we know them. Some of them would rule Egypt 5, 10, 20 years. Ramesses II, 67 years. 3 phases. And they claim that the least developed era, sons of gods, built those pyramids. I'm saying no. They were built by more advanced civilizations. And if the rulers, and they are giving the names, and even the time, the years when they ruled, if they were living 1,000 years, it means they were more advanced, they had more advanced technology, and for them, it would not be a problem to move 220-ton granite block from Aswan, 869 kilometers to the north, to the Guizah Plateau, and start building those pyramids. So instead of, stories for little kids, bedtime stories by Egyptologists, thousands of slaves built it. How did they build it? How did they cut granite in Aswan when they had only primitive, soft, copper tools? Today, we use diamond tools to cut granite. How do they move those blocks? You can maybe explain 1 ton. How do you explain 80 tons, the biggest block in Cheops pyramid, or 220 in the biggest block in Khafre's? No explanation. How do they lift those blocks? How they install them so perfectly that you don't have a room between 2 blocks? No explanation. More advanced civilization, and the first gods in Egypt started ruling this country 43,000 years back. Well, for them it is Pandora box. For the elites, what they want to do is to keep us with the knowledge hidden from us. Less we know, easier to control and manipulate. But what we need to know is the real truth, the true history about our planet, about not only humanity, but all other civilizations being present here in the periods of not thousands, not hundreds of thousands of years, but even more than that.
¿Y qué hay de quienes supuestamente construyeron las pirámides de Bosnia? ¿Qué fue de ellos? El doctor Osmanagić, según su opinión, nos contestó esto.
I would say that they were aware of the natural disasters that would occasionally come and hit this planet. You know, I mentioned those 3 different eras in Egypt. Gods, 1,000 years rule. And, 18,000 years back, they disappeared. Probably they knew that the global catastrophe was coming, so they maybe moved out of this planet. And then you have, entities or intelligent hands that would rule Egypt for 200, 300, 400 years. They disappeared, also thousands of years back. And then you have humans. So I would say why they're not there, because they were able to probably move between the planets, between the solar systems, between the galaxies. They were using our planet for a certain period of time, and when their time was up, they would simply be gone from this planet.
El doctor Osmanagić teoriza sobre el diluvio universal y nos dice esto.
7,700 years ago, probably happened a huge disaster, huge catastrophe. What happened? The huge quantities of ice melted. Why? I would say that before that we have a cosmic disaster. Between Mars and Jupiter there was a planet. Today there is an asteroid belt. There was a planet there. How this planet exploded, I'm not quite sure. Was it a natural or some artificial cause? But what we do know, huge rocks were going throughout our solar system. Some of them hit our planet, and they were hitting the lands, especially the land which is vulnerable, volcanic of origin. They were hitting huge islands in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, or small continents. Some people call it the land of Atlantis. And yes. Atlantis went down about 3,500 meters below the sea level. And what happened? The Gulf Stream, which is warm stream, instead of coming between North America and Atlantis, now had a freeway to go to the Europe. And this warm stream melted the ice around the northern hemisphere. Huge quantities of ice melted, and then you had huge flood waves coming from northern Europe to the southern, coming from Northern America to the southern parts. And then what happened? The Pacific Ocean, which is the largest body of water, rose for 80 meters, Atlantic 120 meters, and for example, a small Adriatic Sea for 750 meters. The flood destroyed existing civilizations. Yes. 99% of humanity were gone. So we had to start from the beginning, and in science it is named the Mesolithic era, 12,000 to 10,000, followed by Neolithic era, really primitive humans who had to start from the beginning because there was a discontinuation in the knowledge.
Al finalizar la entrevista, quisimos agradecer el tiempo y la enorme amabilidad que el doctor Osmanagić tuvo al atendernos, siendo como somos un medio pequeño. Agradecemos su humildad, su entusiasmo por la arqueología, su devoción por la historia y la búsqueda científica y arqueológica de datos que enriquecen el debate académico, quien merecería el doctor Osmanagić, sin duda, más respeto y cortesía por parte de quienes no están de acuerdo con su tesis. Sería absolutamente extraordinario un debate arqueológico y científico entre el doctor Osmanagić y cualquiera que se atreviese a usar igual que él pruebas de medición, imágenes, tests, resultados científicos, etc. ¿Lo veremos algún día? Pueden ustedes estar de acuerdo o no con el doctor Osmanagić, pero una cosa es innegable. El doctor Osmanagić ha mejorado la economía local de esa región de Bosnia. Ha puesto al país, a Bosnia, en un nivel protagónico entre investigadores y curiosos de la arqueología perdida. Con entusiasmo fomenta el debate arqueológico e histórico y aporta pruebas independientes, con otros colegas, con tecnología, y también transmite entusiasmo genuino por la arqueología, entre otras muchas cosas.
Thank you very much. Come to Bosnia to experience the Bosnian pyramids.
Esto ha sido la entrevista en CBStudio Radio.